Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. I'm admittedly not the biggest college basketball fan in the world, but I did get sucked into watching a Michigan game last week, and I'll tell you what, those boys in the maize and blue are pretty tough. But I think even John Beilein's crew would have to admit that they aren't ready to bang with Michigan native Ken Jackson when he's in the paint. Yesterday we saw the CEO of Team Jax banging out a few sets of heavy dumbbell presses as he moves full speed ahead towards his comeback season. At this point, it doesn't feel like Jackson is showing any ill effects from the injury that sidelined him for the entire 2018 campaign. So hopefully we'll see him try to make another run at the stage at some point here, now that he's healthy. I know the air being thinner in Denver is supposed to give the athletes who train there a competitive advantage when other teams roll into town. But after what I saw from Brett Wilkin yesterday, I seriously almost Googled the words, "Are things lighter at higher altitudes?" before I came to my senses. In celebration of International Chest Day, the 2018 Junior National Classic Physique champ decided to put in some good old-fashioned sweat equity yesterday out at the Mile High Mecca, where my old buddy Dillon Armbrust is apparently making the weights lighter to help boost guys' egos. For a guy like Wilkins to be training around an army of killers like that day in and day out, I'm sure you probably can't help but get stronger by osmosis. But if you can suck a little bit of those Olympia vibes they've got floating around the room there, I'm sure it probably can't hurt. If you've been betting on the NFL playoffs at all for the last 5 years, then you probably already know this. But having a home field advantage matters a ton when the stakes are high. So somewhere in Joe Weider's Guide to Gambling, I'm sure there has to be a few sentences that could talk me into laying down some money on Sam Pearce as a top 3 finisher at the Arnold Australia. With kickoff less than 2 months away now, the Aussie big man seems like he's really starting to hit his stride. In his new updates last weekend, we can see Pearce starting to dial in some of the detail and separation that you'd expect to see at this point in his prep. So if he buckles down to bring in some extra nasty conditioning, the gambling gods say he should make for a tough out. As long as we're deep diving on this gambling thing, we might as well go ahead and double down. I'm not a geography expert, but New Zealand seems like it's close enough to Australia to claim home field advantage. So in my mind, that gives Steve Orton the home field bump too. True to form, the New Zealand native has been dropping the hammer over the last 8 weeks, giving his body one of those good old-fashioned Southern Hemisphere ass whoopings. Even though we don't talk about him a whole lot because he's on the other side of the world, this guy is an old-school, blue-collar bodybuilder in every sense of the word. And when those guys put it all together, history tells us they're usually very good. Well, the government has been shut down for a month now, and there seems to be a lack of workers. So if anyone needs a guy to move some weight around, they might want to think about giving Chris Bumstead a call. Recently, we saw a rare off-season training clip of C-Bum starting to make its way around the internet, where we catch the number 2 ranked athlete in the classic physique division hammering out a solid 600-pound deadlift. Even though he spent most of last year dealing with some nagging health issues that might have slowed him down a little bit in the long run, right now C-Bum seems like he's firing on all cylinders. So assuming he stays healthy, maybe there's a chance we see him throw down this year at some point before September, so we can give the fans something to talk about. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.